Simon, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about Framestore as well as Access VFX, and tell us a brief history, a brief overview of what your kind of career background is.
Absolutely. Well, I'll keep my career background quite light because I'm quite old and a lot of my entry points won't be as relevant to the audience here. But in terms of Framestore is a global Oscar-winning visual effects content creation studio. We had the nomination for Wicked recently. Sadly, we'd lost to June 2, but we got the nomination, which is huge. So we work across visual effects in terms of film, episodic, commercial work, theme park rides, credit sequences, mostly on-screen content, but it's visual effects. And Access VFX is a global non-profit made up of 75 plus visual effects animation and game studios, all kind of working together towards a shared goal, which is to create more inclusion, diversity, equity across the visual effects animation and games industry, because there are some kind of challenges and pinch points. And in answer to your question, Sam, as a frustrated artist myself, actually started out as a freelance illustrator in the late 90s. I've always been passionate about kind of creativity and storytelling, which led me to various roles over the year. I've worked in radio, commercial radio, television at Channel 4. I've worked in games at PlayStation, and now a career in visual effects and animation, probably for the last 12-ish years. And over the years, I've worked across talent development roles, recruitment roles, HR roles in kind of very people-focused positions, helping studios find and nurture emerging talent. But I realized during my time at the Mill, sadly, it closed its doors last week, around 2016, there are huge barriers for underrepresented groups trying to break into the industry across all levels, which led me to founding Access VFX in 2017, a year later, which I'm proud to say now is a global industry-led movement dedicated to making, as I said earlier, visual effects and animation more inclusive and accessible for everyone. So that's the shortest I've ever done, Sam. Hope you're proud of me.
I'm absolutely proud of you. I also feel like there are so many areas where I wanted to interject and be like, I want to know that and more about that and more about. So we'll try and get through it. But
Your best. Box ticking.
I already have limited us with the time. No, a fantastic and very concise background of who you are, what you've done in the past, and also who you've worked for. I do want to delve in a little bit more into your career history because I do think that it is such a good example of how art, for example, can be applied over many different creative industries, not just the art industry. So is that something that you realized when you were doing your kind of degree, or like did you know that you'd end up where you are now?
I had no idea, but it's a good point, and I'm glad you recognise that my background has some relevance still. Is what I think is comparable to the next generations coming up now is taking opportunities that come your way. Because actually, when I got into industry, I actually ended up working in Sainsbury's on Clapham High Street as a training coordinator. But my passion is I wanted to be a freelance illustrator, but I took that role anyway. And if I hadn't have taken that role, I wouldn't have gone on this curvy career path that my career continues to go on, by the way, almost 30 years later, where I've just taken opportunities and been curious and kind of just gone for it. Because I think, particularly in creative roles, we get so caught up in what we want to do. I want to be a director. I want to be a visual effects artist. I want to be this thing. And actually, your career path will be lots of peaks and troughs along the way. And actually, you'll discover something that you never knew existed. And for young creatives now, I mean, there's so many different sub-departments in a company like Framestore, for example, which you would never know exist, particularly with the emerging technologies that are coming out, artificial intelligence, the whole piece, from design teams to immersive experiences to traditional visual effects work. And I think the advice there is, and from my career certainly, is just taking the opportunities. Something comes your way, try not to overthink it too much because you might be doing yourself a disservice.
Absolutely, really good advice, and that has actually been a bit of a theme already today. Squiggly career path is where it's at. You've got to be flexible and you've got to be open-minded. And let's talk about your, I guess, role at Framestore, because you have a really good comprehensive overview, like you've literally just mentioned, about the variety of different things that you can do in a VFX company. Tell us about some of the under-celebrated, unknown areas that people should really be aware existed or exists.
Absolutely. Actually, this is a really great question. I'm glad you've asked it, Sam. I'm a big believer in focusing on production management. It's actually an area that doesn't get talked about enough, but is absolutely essential to the work that we do. Because many people think that visual effects or VFX and animation careers are just about being an artist or a coder or something very technical. But production roles like coordinators, producers, who are all technically project managers. They're absolutely the backbone of every studio, whether they're a small boutique studio or a big studio like Framestore or DNEG or ILM. And they keep projects running smoothly. They organize the teams, they ensure the creative work gets delivered on time. So anybody watching this now, if you love problem solving, organization, getting people together, working with people ultimately, production could be an amazing career path. So that doesn't get talked about enough in my view, Sam.
Absolutely. And any other areas that you want to highlight?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the support roles. I mean, I could talk about artistic roles to the cows come home, and there are resources out there around being a visual effects artist, being animators, being emerging technology specialists, creative technologists. But nobody talks about the marketing roles, the HR positions, the backbone, the support teams, even facilities and making sure the building runs. Because a lot of these traditional careers doesn't have to be technically a boring role. You could be working in a HR team or a people focused team like I did back in the day for a global visual effects studio. You get to work all the work in progress screenings or work for a TV studio or I don't know, or a social media platform, but be in their operations team, you know. So I think it's those kind of roles get missed a lot when we talk about careers in visual effects.
Yeah, absolutely. They are specialist in their own way, but because they are needed in every company all the time, everywhere, they never
Totally,
get the spotlight because it's kind of a transferable career in a way, isn't it?
totally, totally.
Okay, so and let's talk about Access VFX. How
Yes, please.
exactly does it help young people get a foot in the door of the VFX industry and specifically underrepresented talent?
Brilliant. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, absolutely. So for young people or any people getting their foot in the door from, I would say, age 13 plus, is we offer a free mentoring program. And I'm going to pop it into the
Yes.
thing shortly, actually. I can't multitask, so I'm going to do that now. I'm going to
No,
pop it
I'm
in.
exactly the same. The whole morning I was trying to do two things at once and I was like, I'm so sorry, guys. Me constantly.
I'll pop two links in there. One is the Access VFX website, which gives you a bit more information on the mentoring program. The second link, which starts with initiatives.prospella, is going directly to the source, which is our third party that offer this mentoring program. So we offer a free, and I will double down on the word free. There's no strings attached with this program, and it offer not only do we offer kind of accessible careers events, outreach initiatives, which I'll talk about. It's our free mentoring program where anyone can get one-to-one advice from experts across the globe. Now, I did mention the word global, but we are in all over Europe, we're all over America, we're Australia, New Zealand, we're all over the UK, obviously, and we're all over America as well. And because it's a global industry, and we have upwards of 2,000 mentors spread out across the world, mentoring people like the good people listening to this or watching this webinar, and anybody can get access to it, right? So this will help understand the career paths in a bit more detail if you're interested. I mean, I know you've got Union, VFX, Time-Based Arts, and Golden Wolf coming up next, and there we'll be able to delve into some more specifics. But this helps people understand career paths, helps build portfolios. It's all done on a Slack-like platform. It's not Slack. Other platforms are available. It's a bespoke platform that operates a bit like Slack, where you can post your reels, post your work, you can get advice on interview skills, and it's invaluable. And people are getting jobs as a result of the mentoring. We've been going for about 8 years now, and we're starting to see the fruits of that labor. So I absolutely recommend that. Also, we work with schools, we work with colleges. We try to provide a lot of role modeling and real world insights. Our social media platforms, we role model people of color, women, people from neurodivergent backgrounds, and lots more. Just trying to kind of get people to see themselves in the industry, because that can be the first hurdle for a lot of people as well. So I'd say mentoring, our social kind of projects and series, our podcast as well, and then the events that we do. I actually broke our website earlier, so the events page is actually down because I broke it. But it's going to be back up, I promise. And there'll be loads of events on there, but you can check it out anyway and see all the kind of all the content that we put out regularly that hopefully helps inspire people.
Amazing. Well, go check out all of that now, apart from events. Go back to that tomorrow.
No, please, sorry.
Honestly, I mean, you're doing so much good work. That's incredible, absolutely incredible. And we actually do have a couple of international people watching at the moment, so there probably is something there for them as well. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about is obviously very UK specific. This is not one of those conversations. This is an international conversation.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
So, okay, and what is your advice? Because we've got 5 minutes left. We're going to
Of
get into
course.
the advice bit. If, I mean, there are so many students watching at the moment in the hundreds because we are streaming live into classrooms as we speak.
Yeah.
Students watching, this is your advice from Simon as to how you can prepare yourself now to get your foot in the door of that VFX industry.
Such a big question. Well, the first one is grow a global network, and it's easier than people think. So whenever people say it's who you know, you can sign up to Access VFX mentoring program. You will get connected to a mentor somewhere in the world. Imagine being connected to a creative director working for a global animation studio in LA or New York, right? Amazing, right? So you've got your network there. So it's absolutely about who you know. You now know somebody. Now, in addition to signing up to mentoring, which is free, fully safeguarded if anybody has any concerns, we pay Foundry, the software provider, actually sponsor us to run it every year, and it's fully safeguarded. So it's not some maverick platform. Okay, it's fully safeguarded, fully safe for students to get involved with age 13 and upwards. The other thing I'll say is start learning and experimenting with creative tools. Many are free. A lot of the students on here should know that platforms like Blender, Unreal Engine are two of the big ones that are completely free to download if you have access to some form of computer. And you can start to build your portfolio, work on personal projects, and share your work online. Don't be shy. Yeah, have a good Instagram page or TikTok page. Do breakdowns. Be passionate about what you do, but make stuff. I think everyone I speak to, particularly on all of our podcasts, they all say the same thing: make stuff, make stuff, make stuff, break stuff. Just get stuff out there. But the tools are out there. And YouTube University, honestly, for something like Blender and Unreal, there are suites of free training resources on YouTube where you can learn Blender. And something like Blender is the bedrock of pretty much all the software that we use in industry. So there's that. So yeah, personal projects, share your work online if you can. And I think the most important one is to connect with industry professionals. So yes, I've said join mentoring programs like Access VFX, obviously attend events, ask for feedback and all that good stuff. The best bit of advice I heard that I push out a lot is if you're interested, if you go to there's two types of people, right? There are the people who go to watch movies as an example of a piece of content and watch the film and enjoy it and go home, right? And then there's the other type of person that goes to see Wicked or goes to see Dune, and they go, oh my God, how did they make that? Then they go off and they go on YouTube and they listen to podcasts and they find out how they did it, right? Stay back and watch the credits. I know a lot of films have the end of credits cutscene, but even if they don't, watch the credits and watch those VFX artists and look out for the junior VFX artists, the technical directors, the people who are at the start of their career, because they're your near peer contacts. Now, if you write their name down, pause it or take a photo of the screen in the cinema, I think that's allowed with the credits, and find out who those junior artists are, junior producers, and connect with them on LinkedIn if you can, or other social platforms, and ask them a question. Don't just check in with them on LinkedIn and go, have you got a job? Check in with them and go, hi, I've just seen this film. I saw your name on the credits. I'd love to know how you got your break. Or do you have any advice for me? I'm a budding animator or a budding artist or producer. And start to build that near peer network from the ground up, because those people never get contacted. It's always the big creative directors, VFX supervisors, directors, right? But contact the near peer, the young people who are working on those massive shows, and ask them a question. And I guarantee they'll respond, because the community within visual effects is nothing short of awe-inspiring. I've been in it 12 years, and Access VFX works because of the community of artists that surround it. So that would be my big one. I've thrown a lot of advice in there. Thank God this has been recorded. But that's my biggest golden nugget, is to connect with those people.
No, absolutely smashed it. I'm sorry, that is a fantastic bit of advice right there. So actionable. You basically wrote the message for them. So guys, you really have no excuse now. I'm so sorry, but you've got to go start building those networks. That is the most actionable piece of advice I think you'll get all day. Simon, I mean, you can tell that you work a lot with young people, helping them get in, because that was fantastic. Thank you so much.